All right, so the first way that I'm going to approach this question is by looking at the network itself. Now, this is a bit tricky if you've already got a whole bunch of writing on it, but I've just given myself a clear network right here, and we're going to look at it and see what we can do in this situation. But remember, in an exam situation where you've already written on this a whole bunch of times, it would actually be a bit tricky to now look at it again. But thankfully, I've got a fresh one here. Hopefully, VCAA gives you some fresh ones. I feel like that's important. All right. Let's see what we can do here. Remember, what we want to do is we want to turn a 35-week minimum completion time into a 31-week minimum completion time. And we want to do this with a minimum cost possible, so as cheaply as possible. The activities that we can reduce are C, D, G, H, and K. Those are the ones that we can reduce. Now, the way I'm going to do it is unfortunately with a bit of trial and error. We know that at the moment, the minimum completion time is 35 weeks. Well, how could I reduce this? Well, let's just reduce 1 week at a time, and that way we can really count up the cost each time as well. Okay, so looking first at this portion right here. Here, I know that 5 and 3 is 8, meaning CE, that takes a total of 8 weeks, when just through D takes 9 weeks to complete. So if I wanted to make a bit of a reduction here, what I could do is I could say, well, at the moment it takes 9 weeks, but what if I was to reduce this 9 to an 8? So I'm only deducting 1 week there. Then now there's no float time right here. It goes straight through. There's no float time. There's no delay. It just goes, they both hit 8 at the same time and keep moving forward. So that means I can reduce 35 by 1 week, and I've done that by reducing D by 1. And then you would continue on. So now let's look over here and see what reductions we could make for this part right here. So as you can see, I've got G and J. 4 plus 4 would be 8. So this would take 8 right here. So from there to there, that would take 8. I've also got G, I, K. Now that's going to be 4 plus 2 is 6 plus 7 is 13. And I've also got, if I can grab another one, let's do it in red. I've got H and K. H and K is going to be 5 plus 7 is 12. Now, which of these would you want to reduce? Well, I would probably want to reduce here K, because K is a part of the it's part of the red pathway and a part of the orange pathway. So there's 2 pathways there. So by reducing this, and remember, I'm just going to reduce one at a time. So I'm going to reduce 7 to 6. Then that means that this 12 now is going to go down. It will become 11. And this 13 will also go down, and it will go down to 12. So I've reduced 1 more week here. So I have reduced 1 more week, so minus 1. And that is because I've reduced K there. Now, at the moment, what am I sitting on? I'm sitting on 35, 34, 33. So I'm not close to 31 yet. I still need to make 2 more reductions. What other reductions here might we want to make? So this is where we've got to be careful for a moment and say, all right, what's kind of the cheapest thing I could do here? Now, if I do K again, K is going to cost me $4,000. So probably not good to do 4 again. If I do H, well, if I reduce H, it's actually not going to change anything, is it? Because if I reduce H, well, H right now is just, it's just this pathway here that would really impact. So H isn't going to do anything. I really want to reduce my orange pathway. And the reason why I know I want to reduce my orange pathway is because at the moment, the minimum completion time for this portion right here is going to be 12, because 12 is the biggest number. So I really want to reduce this 12 down. So to do that, what I would do is say, all right, let's take this 4 and let's make it a 3. And if I do that, now what's going to end up happening is going to be 3 plus 2 is 5. Plus 7 is 12. So 3 plus 2 is 5, plus 6 is 11, because now this is 6, remember? So now this has turned into 11. So what I've done is I've made 1 more reduction through G, and now, this is looking pretty good. Now, at the moment, this is 35 minus 3, which is 32. So I need to make 1 more reduction in order to make it 34. So what am I going to do? How am I going to make this 34? All right, so now this is definitely where we're going to have to consider the cheapest thing to do here. Now let's think. I kind of want to either reduce this 11, because at the moment, this is the biggest number. I want to either reduce this 11, because that's slowing me down, or I want to reduce the 8s, because that's slowing me down as well. All right, well, If I want to reduce this 11, one way of reducing this 11 would be to take one off K, because K is both a part of the orange pathway and a part of the red pathway here. So if I reduced K by 1, that's going to cost me 4 grand. So maybe not the best thing to do, but let's look at the other prices of things. If I wanted to reduce this 8, what you have to realize is that I would have to reduce both C and D. Because at the moment, if I was just to reduce C, for instance, well, that would become 4 plus 3 is 7. Well, it's still going to take me 8 weeks to complete it. So that means you'd have to reduce both C and D here. Now, what is the cost of C and D? Well, C costs 3 grand and D costs 2 grand. So it's going to cost a total of 5 grand here. So at the moment, K is looking better. But is there anything else I could reduce here that would help out? Now, this is what I feel is the bit of the tricky part, and that is recognizing that another way of reducing this 11 is, instead of reducing K, is you could reduce both G and H, because that's going to reduce both the orange path and the red path. So if I was to reduce both G and H, so that means this 3 would become a 2, and this 5 would become a 4. Well, now it's going to be 2 plus 2 plus 2 is 4, plus 6 is 10. So that would become 10. And then this will become 4 plus 6 is 10 as well. So as you can see, I've now reduced both of these by 10. So that means to get through this whole pathway would take 10 weeks. Now, to do that, it's going to cost G and H. Well, G is 2,500 and H is 1,000. So that means it's going to cost $3,500. And do you see, out of all the options here, out of 5,000, 4,000, 3,500 is the cheapest option. So that means the last thing I would want to do here is I would want to reduce by another week both G and H. So let me say that again. I'm saving 1 week by reducing both G and H. I'm saving 1 week by reducing both G and H by 1. So now what we can do is we can fill in our answer, because as you can see now, this is 35 minus 4. We've gotten to 31 weeks, which remember is what we wanted. And what we have done here is we've gone, all right, C, I haven't reduced C at all. It's not been none of my reductions. D, I reduced once. G, I've reduced twice. H, I've reduced once. And K, I've reduced once. So my answer will be 0, 1, 2, 1, 1. So this is one method of approaching this type of question. And again, this is a pretty tricky question right here, but hopefully my explanation has made a bit of sense to you.